coaching vacancy, Mike Budenholzer, former Milwaukee Bucks head coach, favorite on top of that list. It is a feel-good Friday. It is a fancy coffee Friday. And it is Rip City Mornings. And it starts right now, 620, Rip City Radio. And a very happy Friday. It is RCM. I am your host, Justin Myers. Super producer Brenden safely partitioned on the other side of the glass. Thanks for getting up early with us or staying up late, however you are rolling on this particular Friday. We have a lot of stuff to dive into on the big show today. Pair of road wins in the NBA last night. Now, keep in mind, this is what the Celtics did with the Heat as well.
Boston just doesn't like game twos.
They're just not feeling game two at home. Just enough to keep the fans a little bit nervous. But the Miami Heat proved it in round one. Cleveland Cavaliers proved it in round two. Even if you are completely outmatched, which other than Donovan Mitchell, I mean, the Boston Celtics have the Cavs outmatched at nearly every position, other than Donovan Mitchell. But three-point line, man, is that great equalizer. And if you get one team on a hot shooting night, there is nothing you can do. Absolutely nothing you can do. So the Cavs take game two. We got a series in Boston, and then Luka Doncic shows up. And he puts it on the Oklahoma City Thunder. They steal a game in Oklahoma City. So we got a pair of road wins, and we'll dive into a little bit more of it in Round Ball Rock. But we got some playoffs. Got some playoffs going on. Frank Vogel was fired. He was fired by the Phoenix Suns. I said earlier this week, man, weeks are starting to bleed together. But I said earlier this week that Darvin Ham's got to feel like the best fired coach of all time. Nobody blamed Darvin Ham for the Lakers' collapse. Everybody knows that LeBron runs the show. Everybody knows that LeBron wanted to play GM. Even the most diehard LeBron stan fan looked at that situation like, yeah, I don't know if that was Darvin Ham's fault. And he got paid, and now he's going to be able to go out, find another job somewhere. His reputation is not sullied. Everybody was like, essentially to Darvin Ham, like Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. LeBron James is the worst GM that we have seen. Every time they let LeBron James start making the decisions, it never works out well. And you got an advance on your paycheck, and you don't have to coach this team next year. I thought, man, it never feels good getting fired, but in that situation, maybe it felt pretty good. Frank Vogel, I think, just said I should enter the chat, hold my beer, because Frank Vogel now does not have to coach what I believe is going to be a dysfunctional Phoenix Suns team for the foreseeable future with an owner that is meddling, and he gets paid for the next 4 years.
Yeah, I think.
Did he just get an extension last year?
Well, it was just a 5-year. Well, it was his first year, so it was a 5-year deal.
First year of a 5-year deal.
Yeah, I mean the fifth.
And he just got bounced.
Yeah, like Portland, I'm sure the 5th year was a team option they can decline.
Okay, but he still gets paid.
But he was making at least, I mean, knowing he was a championship head coach. I know Justin's bubble, but still, championship head coach.
That's true.
I bet he was making probably $7 million a year. I mean, Monty Williams in Detroit's making 10.
Isn't it odd? I don't know if it's this way in the NFL. I haven't thought it through enough. But in the NBA, sometimes getting fired's got to feel good.
Well, you think Jimbo Fisher was really all that upset?
That's a good point.
If there's enough money.
Yeah, Jimbo Fisher's like, wait, you're going to pay me everything.
Ed Orgeron. I mean.
Ed Orgeron was another great one. It's like, wait, I've won my title.
Yes. GOAT status with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson.
Forever I will be a national championship head coach. I got a ring that Hall of Famers never got.
Yeah.
Right?
One of the most impressive seasons of college football ever. We've talked about it.
So I've got that. in my home state of Louisiana.
Yep.
Like, in all of that, you're going to pay me, what,
It's like
$28 million
to go away.
To go away, and I don't have to recruit anymore. I don't have to
That
try
was
to
before NIL, too. He's like, I'm out.
Because the one thing about Ed Orgeron, like if you knew a lot about Ed, he made his coaching bones being the most dogged recruiter.
Yes,
That's how he got the jobs that he got, was because he would just out recruit everyone. He never slept. Famous. Like there's a book when he was at Ole Miss. I can't remember what the book's name was, but he's like he lived off a Red Bull.
But no, to that point, I think.
So he was like, finally, like, okay, so I don't have to win the national championship every single year.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you're going to pay out my contract. I get to go to these touchdown clubs. I still get to be a part of football. I'm still a national champion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shall take that deal.
Yeah,
So Frank Vogel is probably like, all right, I still got my ring, even though some doofusy radio host up in Portland doesn't count it. And it's a couple of podcasters don't either. But I still got my ring. I have won an NBA championship. I have it on my resume. I'm going to get paid for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Or maybe lump sum. I don't know. Do you get lump sum?
No, they prorate it over. It's like how Jimbo is going to get.
But he's still going to get paid.
Yeah, Jimbo's getting checks like every month for the next 10 years, I think is what it is, or something
Unless
like that.
he takes another job.
Yeah, which he won't.
Why would you?
But
yeah, so Frank Vogel is going to get paid for the next 4 years if he does not coach.
I mean, there's a
nobody blames him for the Phoenix Suns. Everybody blames Matt Ishbia.
Yeah,
by the way, Matt Ishbia is the Suns owner who I think sat at the end of the bench at Michigan State and then made his money in home loans.
Mortgages, yep.
Yeah. So made his money in mortgages, became a gajillionaire, bought a team, and decided, I know how to put a team together. Let's put all the guys that make buckets. It's like, we don't have any bench and we don't have any defense. We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Frank, you'll figure it out, right? And he's like, I guess I'll take the job.
Yeah, I think there's a point of pride, Justin, for every human being, right? Like nobody wants to. Well, I'm not gonna say nobody wants to be, because there are people who are like, "Yep, I am going to force them to fire me and be."
Yeah, famously, Costanza did it in Seinfeld.
Right.
He was going to get a job from the Mets, and he worked for the Yankees. So Costanza had to try to get fired. He put on Babe Ruth's jersey and ate canned strawberries with Babe Ruth's jersey. It was a whole thing.
Yeah. So to that point, like. I don't think there's anybody who's like, yeah, no, but like money helps, Justin, everything. So it's like, say, like, Frank Vogel, Darvin Ham, like, I don't think those guys are licking their wounds. They're just kind of like, well, we shot our shot. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, we tried.
Now,
you put your effort into it. Like, Frank Vogel, like, 1 year is just so horrible. At least the Lakers gave Darvin Ham 2 years. Like, 1 year is so terrible.
Now, here's the deal. I would, again, I've been fired twice. I did not get paid as much as Frank Vogel.
Once here.
So I've been fired twice.
Not a fun day.
It's never a fun day.
I didn't get millions paid out. Did you?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I got
you.
One company treated me very well.
There you go. There you go.
The other
not
did
so much.
Not.
Fair.
That's neither here nor there. But that being said, it's still got to sting a little bit, right? You could be like, boy, this relationship's not working. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to stay. Wait, you're breaking up with me? Even if the crazy girl breaks up with you, it's still got to feel like, wait, you're breaking up with me. But so I'm sure there's probably, as a competitor, you don't want to get fired, but I would imagine, do you think there's like a sense of relief today? If you're Frank Vogel, you're like, good, because there's no way I can coach that team to anything past the first, maybe the second round of the NBA playoffs. Kevin Durant's getting old. Devin Booker's, by the way, no spring chicken. Bradley Beal was a mistake of a signing, and I've got no depth. I've got absolutely no depth, and none of these dudes want to play a lick of defense. So
that team does not play defense. I know you like to age Devin Booker. He is only 27. A lot of miles on those legs.
NBA miles,
is fair,
Brenden.
But still, like 27.
Wait, think of, because Devin Booker played 6 years in obscurity. Because remember because again, Matt Ishbia. Remember when the Phoenix Suns were absolutely terrible? 4 years ago, 5 years ago, the Suns were like the Blazers. Like
As recently as
they stunk.
As recently as Booker's 4th season, they won 18 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, 18.
So Devin Booker was sitting there getting buckets upon buckets upon buckets, but winning no games. So it's like we think of Devin Booker as like this young, and he is in his 20s, I get it, but he also spent like 6 years in basketball obscurity, which is like every once in a while your team will play the Suns, and you're like, oh, that's right, that Booker guy's really good. So Frank Vogel gets fired. Brenden informed me that it's pretty much a done deal that Budenholzer, like, are they just waiting for like the appropriate time? Because it's like, you don't want to like, remarry so fast because it's like, wait, what was going on?
Yeah, what I read yesterday.
You got to just give it up. We got to give it a minute.
Yeah, was that Budenholzer's their target? Apparently, he already has a staff lined up, and it's just like boom, bada boom, bada boom. So,
but there was another interesting name, though. There was another interesting name that was popping up that we're going to talk about coming up on the other side. We've also got some round ball rock. We got some college football stuff to dive into, but it is tradition on this particular program, especially on a beautiful sunny day, the way it is today. Might be record-breaking day to celebrate the end of the week, and we celebrate the end of the week on this particular show with a delicious, upgraded, caffeinated beverage. That's a fancy way of saying it's time for Fancy Coffee Friday. Here we go. That's right. Oh, it is Fancy Coffee Friday. Not only did you get through the week, gang, we did it. Now, there might be some June gloom coming down the track, but we're not going to worry about that. It is 85 and sunny in beautiful Portland, Oregon today, and the surrounding areas. You made it through the gloom of the spring, which is actually extended winter. Get the khaki shorts out. Get the flip-flops ready. Sun's out, guns out, boys. You put in the work all winter long. It is time to rock your bro tanks and dust off those Ray-Bans because the sun is here and Friday is here and we have the hardest working audience in all of sports radio. How do I know it? I can feel it in my gut, and we appreciate each and every one of you. So without any shame or embarrassment, go and order whatever you want. And by the way, with the sun out, if you want to go get yourself a coffee-flavored milkshake, you do you today. So happy Fancy Coffee Friday to all of you. Cheers to you, Brenden. Coming up on the other side, more NBA coaching carousel potential. It's 620 Rip City Radio. All right, so a lot going on in the NBA, both on the court and off the court, and could it potentially impact the Portland Trail Blazers? Because, well, it seems as though, according to reports, that the Phoenix Suns, after they have fired head coach Frank Vogel yesterday afternoon, that Mike Budenholzer, the former Milwaukee Bucks head coach, is top on the list. Brenden, you said he's got a staff already put together and likely going to be just a boom, boom, seamless transition. Let's not waste any time. Wait for the Friday night news dump to happen and maybe roll out the press conference on Saturday or something down there in Phoenix. But yesterday it was, I think it was Jake Fisher, I think, was from Yahoo Sports, put it out there, and a handful of other places were running with it because we talked about the Chris Mannix tweet about Chauncey Billups yesterday a lot, which was the fact that people are eyeing, sources in the league are eyeing the Chauncey Billups Portland Trail Blazers situation, and that if Portland and Chauncey Billups part ways, that he would likely be a candidate for other jobs. And I was like, well, this is clearly the Lakers. And then, of course, the Phoenix Suns fired Frank Vogel yesterday, and word came out that the Phoenix Suns, as an organization, have Budenholzer as their top target, but multiple Suns players, according to reports, have thrown out the name Chauncey Billups, that Suns players have wanted Chauncey Billups. So it seems like, when you get these sources, when you get these reports, you're like, oh, I'm hearing these things. And now you start adding them up and kind of looking back, and you start wondering. Here's the thing I do know. Nobody's name gets linked to a job by accident in the NBA world. Unless it is a writer or a columnist or a podcaster going like, this is just me spitballing here. But these guys, these NBA insiders, none of these guys put name to team by accident. It is done calculated and on purpose. Sometime as a distraction, sometime as a smoke signal, sometime as a shot across the bow. But these names with these teams, they are not by accident. And here's the other part of this. Now, I understand that this part of the season, it's kind of dormant, right? But the draft lottery is on Sunday. We're going to know where the Blazers are going to be picking on Sunday. And then the Blazers, with that knowledge, even though they're probably already in the midst of it, are going to head into evaluation and trying to put together a roster, because the draft is coming up in a month? I think the draft is coming up in like a month. It's in June, right? So you saw the tweet that we talked about all day yesterday on Wednesday from Chris Mannix. You saw Chauncey Billups' name getting linked now to the Phoenix Suns. I don't know if it's as important in the NBA as it is in college football. Because in college football, your coach gets linked to a job, you better squish that rumor fast. Fast. And that's kind of the culture in college football. It's also kind of the culture in the NFL as well. But is it surprising that we haven't seen I guess not really even a press release, but is it surprising that we haven't seen, Brenden, a leak from somebody else going like, the Blazers are 100% committed to Chauncey Billups? And Chauncey Billups' league sources have told me that there is no divide or there is no situation in Portland. Usually you kind of see those things 24 hours later. So I'm a bit surprised that we haven't seen that lately. As we sit here right now, it is May the 10th. The lottery is in 2 days. What's the percentage you put on Chauncey Billups being the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers next season?
I think it's pretty high. I do.
Because if you'd asked me a week ago, I'd have been like 99. Is it less than 90? Is it less than?
I don't
Is it
think
less than 80?
I don't know why this was this news is so baffling to me because, like you said, Justin, it doesn't get put out there unless it was going to get put out
It's
there.
put like you don't get linked to jobs on accident.
But this whole thing, unfortunately, it just kind of goes. It's just not the best look for the organization, Justin, to kind of be like, well, we're like everybody. Like it feels awkward. It feels very awkward. Like you said, if they were going to let him go, they would have done it weeks ago. And now it just kind of feels like you're rushing to, do this and like not I don't know. The whole thing just stinks of weirdness to me. But I do think he will ultimately still be their coach. I thought if something was going to go down, we would have got the Woj bomb yesterday.
Yeah.
The fact that it didn't leads me to believe it's maybe just out there. But, this is a weird situation, Justin.
Here's my hypothesis. And again, I know nothing. I am just thinking out loud here. Right? But here's my hypothesis. Mentioned this a handful of times yesterday. Talked about it with Mike Richmond yesterday as well. If you could get Joe Cronin and or Blazer ownership, governorship in a room and get like hey, let's just level with me here. The job that Chauncey Billups currently has is not the job he was brought in for. Right? It's not the job he was brought in for. And if I could get Chauncey Billups in a room by himself and be like, hey, coach, level with me here. This was not the job you wanted. This was not the job you accepted. This is not the NBA coaching dream that you probably have had for the better part of a decade. When you retired as a player, and then you got into player personnel stuff, and then you went on TV, and then you made the decision, you know what? I want to be a head coach. I've done everything in this game. I'm a Hall of Famer. I'm a Finals MVP. I believe I could be a successful head coach. And he probably looked out over the landscape and saw exactly the perfect job that he thought 3 years ago. And where we are now in 2024 ain't that job. And so I'm wondering if Brenden, are we in the same situation right now that we were in a year ago, but with a different lead character? Because a year ago at this time, the Blazers had the number 3 pick, and Damian Lillard was saying, look, we tanked once. That stinks. We got Shaden from it. We had to throw away the season again. And Dame was saying, no more 19-year-olds. Please, if you could just, for the love of all things holy, just get me some help, right?
We've determined, though, that if they got Wemby, that would have been the only 19-year-old he was cool with?
Potentially. But remember, I'm saying at this point last year, they had the number 3 pick. They knew they weren't getting Wemby. And so, and I know Damian Lillard said that no more 19-year-olds before the lottery came, but we knew when the lottery came a year ago, we knew that they were not getting Wemby. So we respect, are they going to make a move for Zion? Are they going to make a move for Paul George, right? Is there, like, we threw out all sorts of crazy, like, is Aaron Levine going to be movable in Chicago? We threw out so many scenarios, right? And ultimately, it was a situation where the Blazers, I think, knew but didn't want to say, Dame, this isn't where we were 3 years ago. We're not there anymore. We need to rebuild. We need to reset. But we don't want to be the bad guys, and we don't want to trade you because, I don't know, you are a massive, massive fan favorite, maybe one of the most popular Blazers of all time. But we're going to draft a 19-year-old point guard behind you, and you're going to go ahead and do the dirty work for us. Are we in the same situation with the Blazers and Chauncey Billups? because I know there are some Blazer fans that aren't the biggest Coach Billups fan. I feel like he has been put into an unfair situation. Now, listen, you took the job. Welcome to the NBA. You've been around the block enough to know that NBA superstars are fickle. They can ask for trades at any particular time. But I have said multiple times, like, I don't know how you have a fair evaluation of Chauncey Billups as a head coach because you have not seen him with a roster that was available and ready to go. He got about 3 months of it. And then Dame got shut down. They tanked. They traded away everybody. That last year, not the last year of 2022, 2023, that season, that was not a roster that was capable of winning big. Dame had to score like 50 points just to keep, like, they traded away CJ. They traded away, and it was like final, like Nurk was on his way out. It wasn't working. So I don't really have any idea how to evaluate Chauncey Billups because then he was given a roster full of young players, some hit and miss, some vets. Everybody was hurt this year, hurt all season long. I think the Blazers were in soft tank mode because they know that there is a benefit to, I mean, the ping pong balls they got is way better than if they would have played Malcolm Brogdon with his hurt elbow. Because Malcolm Brogdon, if he toughed it out or thugged it out, as GP2 said, with his elbow tendonitis, they probably win about 5 more games, which could have been the difference in a massive amount of ping pong balls, right? So I don't know how you evaluate Chauncey Billups knowing that, like, he's sitting there going like, all right, I've got Malcolm Brogdon on this team. We're not going to be in the play-in, but I could win 35 games instead of 20-some games if I could play Malcolm Brogdon. And maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but there's no doubt that if Brogdon was healthy this year and you put Ant and Brogdon with a healthy DeAndre Ayton, they're not a playoff team, but they're not bottom of the barrel. So again, I don't blame Chauncey Billups one bit for where the Blazers are. But again, I wonder, are we in the same position with a different lead character where the Blazers are sitting there going like, we're in rebuild mode. Chauncey Billups was brought in as star player, veteran, knowledge to help Dame and some veteran players. We don't have any veteran players. This is not the job for him. And like I said yesterday, Chauncey Billups probably sitting there going like, this was not the job for me. Is this the Dame thing all over again where neither side really wants to be in partnership, but nobody wants to be the bad guy? Because it feels a little bit that way. If in fact, pure hypothetical, everybody. Brenden, am I on the record? This is pure hypothetical. Pure hypothetical. Chauncey Billups takes the job with the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers, they miss out on Budenholzer. Who's the guy? Lee?
Charles Lee.
Charles Lee. You think anybody in school called him Charlie Lee? Because I would have.
Oh, yeah, probably.
He probably is like,
yeah.
No, it's Charles. Yeah, whatever, Charlie Lee. It's Charles. Anyways. But you didn't get Charlie Lee. Charles Lee. You didn't get Budenholzer. I don't know who. I mean, JJ Redick's name obviously still out there. But, like, let's just say in a pure hypothetical world, pure hypothetical, Chauncey Billups says, Lakers called me. I'm going. Blazers, it's been real. Let's work out a deal. Because would you have to give up picks to steal somebody's head coach? I know in the NFL,
Yes.
like you have to give up picks.
If somebody's under contract, yeah. Like when
Yeah.
the Celtics traded Doc Rivers to the Clippers, like that was a pick I think that was like first round pick.
So if Chauncey Billups like, look, Lakers job's open, I want it. The Lakers are like, how about 2 second rounders? And the Blazers are like, we've got nothing but second rounders. Sure, throw them on the pile. They still have like 14 second rounders, right? All the Warriors. Warriors aren't drafted in the second round until like 2035.
They're cooked.
Anyways, if Chauncey Billups decides he wants to take the Lakers job, is anybody in the front office of the Blazers all that upset? Pure hypothetical. Are they that upset?
I don't think so.
That's the question that I think has to be asked, right? If he gets wooed and courted by the Lakers and LeBron brings him up to his rooftop and he gives him, what was it, white wine and Caesar salad? Isn't that how they tried to woo Dame? LeBron James is like, come to my rooftop, come to my lair. I have a beautiful Caesar salad and a crisp Pinot Grigio. Actually, LeBron's basic. He probably would have a Chardonnay. Anyways, probably wouldn't even match flavor profile-wise. Anywho, do you think anybody in Portland's really, I'm talking about Blazers organization, are you really all that upset? And again, this is not a knock on Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups was put into a position these last 3 years that he was not brought in for. It's like, hey, I brought my car in to get its brakes fixed. Yep, don't worry. Gus here is the best carburetor guy in the. It's like, my brakes aren't working. Yeah, but you figure he's so good with carburetors. I'm probably making a terrible car analogy. I don't think they have carburetors anymore. But he's so good. Don't worry. It probably translate perfectly. It's like, yeah, no, I need my brakes fixed. I need a brake guy. The Blazers are in rebuild. Chauncey Billups was there to mentor and guide along veteran players. There are no veteran players on this team, except for Malcolm Brogdon, who may or may not be on this team next year. So I thought it was very interesting that we have not heard a response, whether through official means or through unofficial means, right? You're telling me somebody like Joe Cronin doesn't have somebody's phone number, text, be like, hey, league sources only, Chauncey Billups ain't going anywhere.
Well, yeah. And
Chauncey Billups' name has now been put out there by Chris Mannix, and it was put out there in the Phoenix Suns job.
Well, and Joe Cronin has, beyond the national guys, he has plenty of friends in the local media, and
it's just a game. It's the game that we all
right.
play. I'm not saying it's bad. It's the game that we all play.
And
I'm just a bit surprised that once you saw Chris Mannix's tweet and you saw Chauncey Billups' name linked to the Phoenix Suns job yesterday, and you haven't heard hey, league sources say everything's hunky-dory in Portland, which is what I think Joe Cronin would say. I think hunky-dory. All right. Coming up next. 2 road wins in the NBA last night. Interesting take on the New York Knicks from Draymond Green on Draymond Green's Hater podcast. And awkward situation with Luka Doncic in the post-game interview. We talk about all of it in Round Ball Rock next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, time to wrap up hour number 1. 2 road wins in the NBA last night. Coach gets fired in the NBA yesterday afternoon. And one of the more awkward post-game press conference situations that we have seen in a while. Lots to discuss. Oh, plus a couple of more games coming up tonight, this weekend. Are the Knicks too injured? And are the Knicks potentially frauds, as one current NBA player says? We got a lot to dive into. Let's get to Round Ball Rock. All right, so Luka and the Mavericks get a win over the Thunder. That's 119-110. Luka, once again, when he is playing well, do you know what I mean? When Luka is playing well, I think Anthony Edwards is the kind of the most unstoppable guy right now when they're on like 10, because Jokic is the true definition of MVP. Do you know what I mean? Jokic is like, because Jokic will beat you rebounding, passing, defense. If I need to score, I can score, but the right basketball. But like, you don't ever look at Jokic and be like, everybody get out of the way, I'm going to take over this game. Jokic does it in a very different way, which is really kind of fun. It's not the most fun thing to watch if you are, average Joe sports fan. One-on-one, I think Anthony Edwards is maybe the best in the league. Is Luka is he the second best one-on-one player in the league? James Harden can still get a bucket, but not quite what it used to be.
I like Kyrie and Jalen Brunson a little bit more for one-on-one baskets.
Jalen Brunson, when he gets going downhill, is tough, too.
He takes 60 dribbles to get there, but, man, he don't lose that handle.
He dribbles
He's CJ
so
McCollum
much.
2.0. Just dribble.
Except for when Jalen Brunson dribbles, he actually goes somewhere.
Well, that's true.
CJ just like to dribble in one place.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong? I love you, CJ, but
He's an incredible talent. He's an incredible basketball player. So it seems silly but like, do you ever get around a guy? Well, you don't play golf, but if you ever did play golf, you get around a guy who's just like, nope. So that feels watching CJ dribble the basketball. Yeah. It's like, dude, shoot. Anyways, if you had like a NBA one-on-one tournament, who's your number one seed? It might be Luka. One-on-one. So we're going one-on-one.
I'm taking Giannis.
We can't shoot threes. We're going threes in this bit.
If I'm building a team,
tournament.
I'm taking Jokic. One-on-one, give me Giannis. Big. If you want me to go guard, I would.
Well, no, it's just like I think it would be fun. Like they would never do it because the egos are too big and the money wouldn't be enough. But what if Adam Silver who knows? Maybe we'll do. He did the stupid in-season tournament. What if Adam Silver came up one day, Brenden, and was just like, "Here's the deal, gang. They're doing some crazy stuff over in Europe. I feel like instead of the in-season tournament, every team gets to nominate one player. That one player is going to go one-on-one, and we're going to go full bracket. Full bracket, one-on-one to 21. Make it, take it, just like you do out in the park. 2s and 1s. But you only get one player per team. Who's the number one seed? Who's the number one seed in that imaginary bracket? I think it might be Luka. Am I gushing too much?
Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards, I think, is right up there too. Who would you nominate from the Clippers? Paul George or James Harden in a one-on-one tournament?
Kawhi.
Or Kawhi.
We're assuming everyone's healthy. Give me Kawhi.
Well, I'm just saying, in this one-on-one tournament, Kawhi would play one round and then my knee doesn't feel right and he would.
We strip away injury, which is very hard to do. I still think Kawhi Leonard's a top 8 player in the NBA.
I'm with you, but stripping away injury is very, very hard to do.
It's impossible. But this is a made-up scenario, Justin.
I know. I love it. It'd be hilarious if just Adam Silver is just like, the in-season tournament wasn't doing it. But I'm not giving up on this tournament thing.
He's got some weird ideas, man.
Ice Cube did a 3-on-3. We're going 1-on-1. We're going to take it all the way back to the playground to 21, ones and twos. Every team gets a nominee. Who'd you nominate from the Blazers right now? Scoot or Ant? I think I would go Ant right now.
I'd go DA.
You got to have somebody that can step back and make a 2. I believe.
A 3, no, but DA can hit that mid-range jumper. Again,
Well, I'm just saying, if we're going to 2s and 1s like we did in the playground, it's to 21. A 3 is worth 2. A regular jump shot is worth 1.
I just think the height would be a big difference, no? Like, that's why I said Giannis. Like, if you can go up against a dude who's 5 inches shorter than you, that's a win.
But it's...
Or would you say guards versus guards, forwards?
No. We're going like,
okay, then.
Back in the day, it's 1-on-1. Because the guards, you got to step out and guard them. You know what I mean? Like,
shoot, even maybe Embiid then. In a straight up, like...
I don't know if the length...
7 feet of Embiid?
In this imaginary tournament that we are breaking down.
Dude, at this point...
I don't know if the length is as valuable as you think it is.
Like, you could be... Dude, I may even go Chet. Literally can do, like...
You go Chet over Shea. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, number 2 MVP voting this year. You would say, I nominate Chet.
I just think a big man could block that guard, no?
But if it's one-on-one, it's so much space.
Yeah. You know, it's a fun conversation, but no, I think I would go, like, stretch 4, man. I would. I'd take my chances with a stretch big.
It's fascinating discussion.
Like Kevin Love 10 years ago. Oh, yeah, man. I would dominate my one-on-one with K-Love on the Cavs. We just pop out, hit them threes. Maybe not great defense, but, you know. Like, I kind of like the stretch
and
bigs.
if you put actual incentives on it and said you can hang a banner if you win the one-on-one tournament, you know LeBron's going to win it. You almost got a spit take.
Yeah, no, got radio equipment here. Can't do that. But he did.
Take.
I happened to drink of water before Justin did that. Probably not the best move.
If you could hang a banner and get a ring, you know LeBron would be like, dude, I'm going to win this one-on-one tournament.
Like, I'm all over it.
In all seriousness, in our imaginary one-on-one tournament, you strip away injuries. Nobody's beating LeBron, right? Like, nobody's going to beat. Like, nobody can defend him.
Totally.
All this talk about Luka's like, nope, still LeBron. Speaking of Luka, we're not gonna play it because I don't know if we can. If you are near a computer or have your phone or whatever, you can look it up. But
yeah, I don't want to risk it. I don't want to risk it for the biscuit, man.
So,
you know what I mean?
During Luka Doncic's post-game media availability, he was sitting there doing the whole, got good buckets, got good looks. Somebody, whether intentional or unintentional, I'm assuming this is an unintentional, because I've had this happen before in my own home, not this particular thing, but like you turn on your phone and it automatically connects to a Bluetooth, you know what I mean? Or like your laptop automatically connects to a Bluetooth. So we've been sitting there like in the kitchen and I'll flip up my phone and in our Bluetooth in the kitchen, it'll start playing a podcast of something and Kelly will be like, what are you? I'm like, it just started. Somebody's laptop got connected to a Bluetooth out of nowhere, and let's just say there was a video.
I think it was a phone, Justin. It makes more sense that it was a phone.
You don't think it was like somebody's?
I think it was.
I'm thinking it was somebody like some reporter's laptop. Anyways,
it could be. But yeah,
there was adult video pumping through a Bluetooth speaker, and it was kind of funny, but made for an interesting. But it was like, what are you doing during the game 2 of like who's got it on the phone to where it just popped up on the Bluetooth?
Took it to work with them, clearly.
All right, coming up, we got hour number 2 of Rip City Mornings next, 620 Rip City Radio. It is 7 a.m. on a Friday morning. Justin Myers with you. NBA playoffs continued last night. The Cleveland Cavaliers battle back to take game 2 against the Boston Celtics, 118-94. Cleveland's hot shooting led by 29 points from Donovan Mitchell. Still trying to run him out of Cleveland? Dallas Mavericks also evened up their series with Oklahoma City, 119-110. Luka Doncic, 29 points. P.J. Washington also with 29 points for the Mavs. And yesterday afternoon, the Phoenix Suns announced that they are parting ways. They fired Frank Vogel. After signing him just last year, with 4 years remaining on his contract, they have said thanks, but no thanks, as the Suns now look for a new head coach. Mike Budenholzer, former Milwaukee Bucks head coach, top on their priority list. Top on my priority list is hour number 2 of Rip City Mornings, and we start it right now on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, hey, welcome back to the big show, everybody. Hopefully you are having a fantastic Friday morning. We got Make or Miss coming up in 20 minutes. We got a Hot Take Friday coming up in about 45 minutes. A little peek behind the curtain here. A little peek behind the curtain. And if you have been watching the show on YouTube, you might have noticed that I've been messing with my nose because there's like something bugging me. And I know that the YouTube camera is on and maybe even not live, but people are going to be able to watch this back. So unlike in the good old non-YouTube, which, by the way, love the YouTube audience. It is a tremendous way to watch the show. Check out the Rip City Radio YouTube channel. You can watch us live. You can watch us a little bit later. You can watch at your leisure. We appreciate all the YouTube listeners. And you can kind of see how much I'm moving around. But in the early days of radio, when there was no camera on me, when there was no live streaming video, and you were just talking, and they called it theater of the mind. Justin, create a theater of the mind is what they told me. But also, like, if I needed to pick a book, I could do that in the middle of a segment, and no one was the wiser. And I'm like, I got this YouTube camera on me, and I've got this. I got something. Well, let me just open up to everybody, because I'm pretty sure there's a good handful of guys out there who have had to deal with this. Because I'm messing, and I'm like, what is going on? And so during the break, I'm like, all right, I got to take care of this. Long nose hair in the weird, it curled up. So I got a long nose hair that like curled up and was like tickling the outer edge. And so, Brenden, I don't know if you noticed the weird things that was going on in here as I was. So there's no mirror in here, and I didn't want to just go to the bathroom to rip out a nose hair. And I'm like, I can get it, and I missed it. And then after 3 attempts, I finally got it. I don't know where this nose hair grew through the depth of my skull, but it triggered a tear response in this right eye. So if it looked like I was crying during the last break, it was because I ripped a nose hair out of my nostril, and it hit a nerve. I don't know. Does it ever happen to you? Pop a nose hair, and all of a sudden you're like, why are my eyes watering? But that was me during the break. Just boom, popped one out. All right, so coming up, we have got Make or Miss coming up in about 15 minutes. We do have a Hot Take Friday. Do we want to play this Draymond Green clip? Do we have the Draymond Green clip available? Because obviously the New York Knicks are riding high right now. They just took 2 games from the Indiana Pacers, but OG Anunoby looks like he's going to be out for the season. Julius Randle is already out for the season. Do we know if Anunoby's out for the series?
Oh, just ruled out for game 3 as of now.
But they're not going to give a long-term prognosis, right?
Hamstrings are tricky.
So while the New York Knicks have won the first 2 games in the Garden, they now go back to Indiana. and hobbling a little bit. Brunson's also listed as questionable, but I'm sure he's going to play. It's right foot soreness. But the New York Knicks are riding high. And this is the team that Knicks fans have been waiting for since the 90s. Since Patrick Ewing and company, since Larry Johnson, LJ. Where's it? You're a young guy. When I say Larry Johnson, basketball player, any frame of reference there?
A little.
Because, first off, he had a run in college for 2 years, was the best player in college for UNLV. Now, you were not alive. You were nowhere close to being alive. Because I think that was 89 and then 90. And then he was grandmama. He had an alter ego grandmama. Then he went to the Knicks and kind of had a run. Like a pretty legit run. We need to put more respect on Larry Johnson's name. I think he's one of the lost, the 90s Lost Boys, right? It's like Jordan dominated, Barkley and Malone obviously had that, but Larry Johnson had a run in the 90s where he was a dude. Anyways, not since Larry Johnson hit a 4-point play to beat the Indiana Pacers, I believe in 1999. The New York Knicks have not had this kind of success. But Draymond Green says, hey. Now, again, Draymond Green's a hater. Like we talked about yesterday with Mike Richmond, there's this trend of NBA player podcasts where they're just like, hey, some current with Pat Bev and Draymond Green, some old like Shaq, Gilbert Arenas, Matt Barnes, and Steven Jackson, All the Smoke. But there's this run of either aged veterans or former players that just have this podcast, and they are just haters. They're just we love sports, we appreciate sports, and we want to celebrate sports. These guys are just a bunch of bitter old haters.
Well, and we might want to preface, Justin.
JJ Redick also in there as well.
Yeah, it's like the Blazer fans might get triggered by this. You know, it brings up some memories.
So, yeah, I understand that Draymond Green's a hater. And I think
the two people he comes up with for the Blazers, too, it's like, that's who you remember playing against, Draymond?
So they're talking about the New York Knicks, and I'm the co-host on Draymond's show, is a big New York Knicks fan, or the producer on the show, and he's like, look, Knicks are back. And Draymond says, whoa. Be careful. Here's the Draymond Green podcast. Does it have a name? Nah, who cares?
What this is setting up for y'all up for is what happened to the Atlanta Hawks 3 years ago when they made the conference finals and they never got back. Another team to give you some perspective on this. Nope, but 1 second. Another team that did this to give you some perspective on this was the Portland Trailblazers years ago when they had Al Farouk Aminu, Allen Crabbe, all those guys. They had all those guys, and they went to the conference finals, and we swept them pretty much without Steph Curry. They ran off and paid all of those guys because they thought they had a team that had a chance, and it was a fluke.
He's not wrong, Justin.
Well, he is wrong. Allen Crabbe was not on that team that got swept by Golden State in the conference finals. Was Al Farouk Aminu even on that team?
Yes. Yeah. No, he was.
Yeah, it was Al Farouk Aminu and Mo Harkless. But Allen Crabbe was definitely not on that team.
He was traded the summer before, but I think he refers to the fact that they played the Blazers 4 years in a row in the postseason.
That is true.
So every time we tried to go in the post, ran in the Warriors.
That is 100% true. But it is interesting though, the way you think about you make a run, and we see in the NFL all the time, right? You make a run based on the economic situation, and then at some point everybody's going to have to get paid, right? The 49ers live in the moment, because at some point you're going to have to pay Brock Purdy $43, $44, $45 million, right? You're going to have to. He is a starting quarterback in the NFL who's been to a championship game and a Super Bowl. At some point you're going to have to pay Brock Purdy. And so it is interesting when you kind of look at it from that perspective. But see, I don't recall Who got paid after that Blazer run?
No, I don't think anybody got paid after the Western Conference.
That's
Finals.
what I'm saying. So
Draymond's
a little bit off there.
But the overall arching point of his message is there. So right, the Blazers lost to. He's talking about when the Blazers lost to. I want to say the Warriors. I actually don't think it was the summer.
So you're talking about the 2016-2017 season.
Yes, and that team, they did. They lost in the postseason and then proceeded to give Myers Leonard 4 years, $40 million, Mo Harkless 4 years, $40 million, Evan Turner a max contract, and Alan Crabb a max contract, which in hindsight, it makes me want to vomit saying all that out loud. So it's like, no wonder the Blazers were stuck in mediocrity. Thanks, Neil.
Well, that is true.
It just is what it is.
Can't really argue that one.
It is what it is.
But is mediocrity better than what the Blazers are right now? Because
totally fair.
I mean, are we going to be saying thanks, Joe, for trading away Damian Lillard and trading away C.J. McCollum and essentially ripping this thing down to the studs? Because I'm looking back at these rosters, and there's not a championship roster on here, but I see, let's see. So they're 41-41 in that 2016-2017 season. That was the one where they got swept by the Warriors, right? That was the Nurk Fever.
Mm-hmm.
That was Nurk Fever, and then
they were the 8th seed that year.
Yeah, next season they're 49-33, third place in the West. That was the 4-game sweep of the Pelicans. That one hurt. That was the most painful.
Most painful Blazer game I've been to as a fan.
Or I'm just saying, Blazer series in recent memory. That one's
easily.
Since 2000.
Yeah, that team had but that team could have gone so much further. And Rajon Rondo just turned back the clock, and AD looked like an MVP.
But they won 49 games in 2018. They won 53 games in
I'll say
in 2019, and then in the COVID year, they finished 8th and got the gentleman's sweep.
It was a losing record, right?
Yeah. But they got into the bubble.
They did.
But then the next year, 42 wins, 6th. They were outside of the play-in.
And they were so done against the Nuggets in that postseason series, Justin. You remember
I understand. I watched it. I was there. We were doing the show. I remember. But it's like, that was when everybody decided, can't do that again. And it's like,
I mean, it stings.
I look back with some fondness there.
It stings, Justin, but when you realize that in the NBA, the worst place to be is in the middle.
Is it?
It is.
Worst place it feels like right now.
It does.
Feels worse right now.
But at the same token, I go back to the conversation we had probably about a year ago now, before they drafted Scoot, when you and I were like, we went through and, looked at the Boston Celtics, looked at others and said, you need top draft picks to get there.
All right, coming up, we have got Make or Miss. We've also got some hot takes on a Hot Take Friday, but Make or Miss next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right. We'll get to Make or Miss in just a moment. 8 minutes ago, Sham Charania from The Athletic. Phoenix Suns plan to hire former Bucks head coach Mike Budenholzer as their head coach on a deal expected to approach 8 figures per year. Whew. That's, of course, according to sources.
That's $10 million?
That's 8 figures.
I mean, that's in line.
$10 million minimum.
Monty Williams makes $10 million. I think is the highest paid coach. It's not Kerr or Pop. So
he makes $10 million to coach the Detroit Pistons.
That's what makes this year all that more embarrassing. So at least Portland didn't make Chauncey the highest paid coach in the league.
So $10 million. Matt Ishbia is just lighting money on fire.
I know, right?
Just like, what must that be like to just like? I mean, if you were an owner. Let's play the what if game. If I were an owner, I would be more Steve Ballmer type owner. I would spend the stupid money on arena. I would spend all
my arena would be cool. I'd create a deer district. It'd be a fun place for people to go hang out.
Okay. Let's positivity here real quick. But if you were, let's say, an owner with stupid money, because all right, what is Matt Ishbia?
It's funny. I looked it up. Just he's a trustee. Dad created the mortgage company. I didn't know that.
You mean a nepo baby?
Yeah, funny.
Is what you're saying.
Oh, okay, trustee.
A nepo baby.
Yeah. No, Dad made the mortgage company, and Matt just took it and ran with it.
All right. So Forbes lists his net worth as of this month, $10 billion. That's net worth. That's not all liquid, but he's worth $10 billion. That's pretty good. So let's just say $10 billion guy. And what he bought him for 4, right? So he bought the Suns and the Mercury and everything else that went along with it. The Footprint Center, he bought it for $4 billion. He is now lighting his money on fire buying players and paying all the players, and now he's going to be paying Frank Vogel probably anywhere around $8 or $9 million, and now he's going to be paying Budenholzer $10 million. That's where he's spending his stupid money. We have seen, like I said, Steve Ballmer, who I think is he the richest owner in sports?
By a wide margin.
In like all of sports?
Yes. So he's worth over $100 billion. So it's like he's like it's like Zuckerberg, Elon, like Steve Ballmer's like 6 or 7, like Bill Gates, and then like Steve Ballmer got so much money for running Microsoft.
$122 billion.
He didn't even create Microsoft. And how does he? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, because he got all the stock options, and then stock, and then.
At least Bill Gates and Paul Allen created the darn thing. Like Steve's like, yeah, I just.
But he got it like right at the perfect. And okay, I don't know business and I don't know computers, but I'm going to talk about business and computers. He was the CEO of Microsoft from 2000 to 2014. If I know my timeline, which I do, Brenden, from about 2000 to 2008 or 9. Everybody I knew, everybody had a Gateway, had a Dell, had some sort of desktop, non-Apple computer.
You know why?
Everybody I knew, dude, I had a Dell like that.
It was a strong run. We had a Dell too.
Everybody I knew.
Yeah, but do you know
you could get one for like $400?
Yeah,
and you're supposed to use it for school
Yeah.
or work. Used it to steal music. But then like I remember it was like, and then it was Vista and then XP, and it was like that was a run for Microsoft, like bigger than life.
I'm just surprised he was able to make it out, because the whole reason it's been out there that Steve Ballmer ultimately walked away and left is because his legacy is not defined by anything. Justin, his legacy is defined by the Windows Phone being the biggest flop.
Yeah.
Maybe in his Windows, like, we're going to get in the smartphone game with Apple and Android.
But he was there when they got that Xbox money, though. Because I remember. Cause now I don't know computers, I don't know business, and I don't know video games. Now I'm going to talk about computers, business, and video games. I'm not a gamer.
But like even now.
But you are a gamer. But I remember when Xbox came out and like Nintendo 64 and PlayStation were a thing. And I'm like, Xbox, what a dumb thing. And it turns out like everybody bought Xbox. It did very, very, very well.
And now it's like, to your point, Justin, like Microsoft now, like I'm not saying they still don't sell quite a bit of computers. I think they do, but they're making so much money off of AI and off of,
that AI is gonna take us all down. We're all going down.
Well, and Justin, again, they're really smart, the folks at Sony and the folks at Microsoft, because they realize, a new college football video game is coming this summer, and everyone needs the newest console to play it. Oh, I'm going to see some video game systems spike this summer.
How do we still have, like, consoles, though?
How do you mean?
You know what I mean? Like, what? Like, TV, which is what I do in my spare time, is in the air now. It's in the air. It's Wi-Fi. You get a modem, you get Wi-Fi, and unless you're like me, where I still have a cable box that cable's on its last leg, by the way. Me and cable, where I have some tough talks.
I've tried to tell you for about a year.
Tough talks, me and cable. But I don't need that box.
Yeah, I'm moving again, Justin. I'm kicking Fubo to the curb at the end of this month.
Because, Brenden, I don't know if I told you this. May have mentioned it once or twice. I have a TV in my backyard.
Hi, Key.
And
nice.
I put the TV in my backyard, and I'm like, I don't need anything else. I plug the TV in. It's connected to the Wi-Fi. TV is in the air now. Why aren't video games in the air?
I mean,
why do you need a box like a thing? Do you really need a box? Why don't they just have video games in the air like they do TV?
And you still need like controls and
well, yeah, you could get I'm saying controllers. You can't. I know that.
I mean, it's
until they plant a chip in your brain like what Elon's doing, and you just play video games in your brain. But I'm just wondering, like, why
that kid is living a happier, healthier life now, though, Justin. I will say.
The brain chips freak me out,
I'm just saying he had a lot of issues, and he's like, hey, I could never even sit in front of a TV. That's actually kind of a mind-breaking story, but nevertheless.
We're not getting into brain chips today, Brenden.
That's very deep.
We've already gotten enough into Steve Ball. But, okay, so back to what I was originally saying. If I was a Steve Ballmer type owner, or even an HBO owner who's worth a tenth? Yeah, of what Steve Ballmer's worth, I would put all of my money in the arena. All of it. That
Phoenix
would be
got
like
an old arena too.
Because you think about it like baseball. Brenden, you go to a good baseball park, it does not matter if the team stinks. Team could stink, it doesn't matter. Now T-Mobile. Safeco Field's one of the best ballparks in all of baseball. It was built 25 years ago. It feels both old and new. Almost every other ballpark built in the 90s feels dated now. It's built perfectly. And the Mariners stunk for so many years. And yet people flock to Safeco because it's a beautiful ballpark. It is a great experience. It's the best. I would put all my money in the venue. Because you go to a good venue, it doesn't matter if the team stinks. Maybe basketball is not quite the same as baseball.
Because I was going to say, Justin, let's
football doesn't count.
Let's call a spade a spade. The Blazers stunk this year. Was it fun to go to Moda Center and just watch a game? You went twice.
I went twice.
I didn't go to any this year.
But imagine if, like, you took $1 billion and you made it the coolest place to go. And
you and I have been saying that for years.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it would matter if the team stinks or not, because the experience of going to the game is automatic. Like you're halfway there for the experience. That's what I'm saying.
Like, again, we've
now I am not getting $1 billion anytime soon.
No, neither am I. But like I said, Justin and I, we said it best. We love to spend other people's money on this program. And as I've said before, I don't know how, if you're the Allen estate, you look at Moda Center and go, yeah, it just seems like a really great place to go and enjoy 3-4 hours as a family outing. And again, you go watch, they're not in the playoffs right now, but like, again, Milwaukee, Toronto, even outside of the Garden, Justin, has been a spot. Like, I don't know. I just think there's some missed opportunities to turn that Moda Center into a district where it's like, oh yeah, Blazer game at 7, we're going to go out there at 2 o'clock. You know what I mean?
We've been on this for years and years and years. That's where I would, if you were billionaire owner, where would you spend your stupid money?
Well, first I would look for an obnoxious way to come to the games. So I would.
Would you be like hands on with the roster and be like,
Oh yeah, I'd be bad, man. I'd be bad, and I'd do something silly. I'd be like, yep, the top of the building has a helicopter pad for when the owner arrives, kind of a thing. But no, I'd food, Justin, food, drink.
Oh yeah, so you spent stupid money on the food.
Food, drink, and I would make the comfiest chairs in the NBA. I'd find a way to get the best tailors to sew together those seat cushions. Maybe leather for all the seats.
By the way, you know what I learned?
Like make lazy boys for all the seats.
You know what I learned?
That'd be fun.
About 3 weeks ago. Now I've been speaking of chairs, and places. I have been to Oregon's Hatfield Dowling Complex a handful of times, which is the football facility there. I took the tour. I took the tour when they first built it. Built it. I took the tour, and I got all the stuff about the weight room. That's Brazilian hardwood on the weight room. That is Italian marble. That is Ferrari leather chairs and all that stuff. And the food and I saw all of it. You know what they didn't tell us that I learned? They built the chairs in the media room to be slightly tilted down so that you're never quite comfortable, so that media members would get uncomfortable and want to leave.
That's
now that might have been a joke that they tell somebody, but I saw a video of like somebody it's like, yeah, we built it so that you're constantly sliding down out of the chairs so that you ultimately just don't want to stick around and you want to leave.
Nah, man, that ain't it, Justin. That's crazy.
I just learned that. Anyways, should we do at least one or two make or miss? You worked hard on it. Let's go.
All right, firing up make or miss today.
Mm-hmm.
The Celtics just hate game twos.
They really do. Boy, they really do hate game twos. And you know who hates it more than anybody? Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because he is in the worst spot right now because I still think Boston fans are still mad about last year. I think Boston fans are still mad about Ime Udoka and the fact that we still don't know exactly what happened there. And boy, it just feels like if they don't just sweep and win by 20 every single game, it is like, what's wrong with the Celtics? Because they had such a great regular season. It's like, yeah. Cleveland's not going to win the series.
I mean, is that still not one of the most baffling things ever, Justin? Like,
in an era where we know everything.
Well,
we know everything. We talked about the Tom Brady roast. Like, we know about Giselle and her jiu-jitsu instructor.
True.
We have no idea why Ime Udoka is not the coach of the Boston Celtics and is, in fact, the coach of the Houston Rockets.
I want a tell-all from Nia Long. Can Nia Long come out and give me the tell-all? I don't know if they're still together, but
I don't think they are. I think that might have been a part of it.
Yeah, I want the tell-all because, again, so the Celtics come out to be like, it's like, oh, this is this horrible thing. We're putting him on leave, when in reality, I would just like to state the record, Justin. Having an extramarital affair is not a crime.
He also was not married.
But, okay, so an affair is not a crime.
But there is a whole thing of
workplace culture. I get that, and he was technically above her and like the.
We don't. We think.
Yes, right.
We think. We don't. But the fact that also usually if that is there, like. You got another job though, and it was never brought up.
Yeah, like
with
Houston,
the other job.
It didn't bother Houston one bit. So like, I that to me is just almost like,
and
they didn't want the PR smoke, and they're like, go, and we like this other guy just as much, kind of a thing.
I guarantee, but that's still hanging over Joe Mazzulla right now. It's still hanging over him because the Boston fans, who are insane, feel like because this team, and they are the best team in the NBA right now. But if they don't win every series 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, and don't win every game by at least 15 or more, it's like what? It all just, you can see it in Joe Mazzulla's face. You can see it in his face. It's just like.
And you're right, because Ime took him to the finals. Not the Eastern Finals, the finals. And
Yeah, and
granted,
then there
into
was
Steph,
the thing
but-
last year with the war or the Heat, and it's like they blew it in a game 7, and like, yeah, you could see it in his face. And Joe Mazzulla's probably like, guys, can we just at least win all our home games?
I mean, it's fascinating that, you go back to, again, why, bigger picture here, why Brad Stevens won GM of the year. At one point, Justin, there was that year, Ime Udoka was their head coach. Joe Mazzulla was their assistant, also a head coach now. And then Will Hardy, who's the head coach of the Jazz, was also their head coach. So it's like, and I've said this numerous times, Boston's ability to let a guy like Udoka go, because I think he's a terrific coach, bar none. He's going to get Houston winning. Just you wait. And to be, you know how many other teams would flop and miss and hire someone that destroyed the culture, or, Tatum and Brown didn't get along? Like, it really, with the exception, like you said, Justin, the postseason last year, it's been about as perfect as you could have imagined. Yeah. Like letting a coach go who was looked like the beginnings of a really great coach.
And then they just
it's weird.
Do you think they just get bored?
The Warriors did. They did.
The Warriors would do that every once in a while, just get bored and like, oh.
Time to try.
This team just seems like the Heat put like 50-some% from 3 on them. What the Cleveland shot like 40-some% from 3. And it's like, and the Celtics like, oh, I knew I forgot something.
Yeah,
Perimeter defense. We're going to do that, and we're going to put the squeeze on them. But, man, they are in a spot where, like, if they don't make the finals.
Yeah, I mean, less so with, the Celtics, I think, now. But, like, you just, like, look at it, and it's impressive what they've been able to do. And to your point,
46% is what the Cavs shot last night from 3. And the Celtics shot 22%.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you go back to those 3 years, Justin, when they had Durant. So take away after LeBron, came back and beat them 3-1. Those 3 years, the Warriors had Durant. So the beginning up until Durant popped his Achilles, not so much in the playoffs, but there were a few where you're just like, the Warriors could just turn it on whenever they wanted to and be like, hey, we want to beat you by 30? Okay, we're going to beat you by 30. But there were times where it's like, yeah, they just didn't really care today, and it's a meaningless game. And, I mean, I don't know. Like, this is a little casual for Boston, because I remember very famously, Justin, one of those years that they won, the Warriors didn't lose a game in the postseason. They set the record. It was 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, and either 4-0 or 4-1 over LeBron that year.
I was 4-1.
Yeah. So
it was 4-1 over LeBron.
Yeah. So it's like, I get that, but, this Celtics team is not Steph Curry, Clay, Draymond, KD.
But this Celtics team,
really
compared to the rest of the East, does have that feel of when the Warriors were just so much better than everybody in the West.
They do. Now,
it's just so much better.
Now, my question is, Justin, say they squeak by this round. What if you play like this multiple games against Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks?
Yeah.
We'll see. But like they threw up a stat not too long ago. So the last 4 games, Jason Tatum has averaged only 20 points a game, which for your superstar, you need him to do more. So I think, we're gonna see what Boston's made of, Justin. I think we're not the only ones chipping about Joe Mazzulla this morning.
All right, real quick, we have a smidge of breaking news.
Yeah, go for it.
The NBA has suspended Pat Beverly 4 games. For throwing a basketball not once but twice at a fan.
Need 78 more, but that's okay.
4-game suspension for Pat Bev. It's going to be interesting. Are the Bucks going to bring him back? We don't have time to get to that discussion, but we do have a Hot Take Friday to wrap up hour number 2. That's next on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, let's wrap up hour number 2. It's going to be a scorcher today. I heard potential low 90s. Might be a record day in the city of Portland. And I have said over and over again, look, you get one complaint about the weather. And if you are one, like I was, and like Brenden was, who complained about the amount of cold rain, then you don't get to complain about the heat. You just got to soak up the sun and live in it. But it's going to be warm out there today. Is it going to be warm enough to where people are reminding you to hydrate? I don't know. That's how you really know that we are getting up into the heat of it. But we're going to heat it up anyways, because not only do we heat up with a beautiful May afternoon, which is on the way, not only do we heat it up because it's a Fancy Coffee Friday, but we heat it up each and every Friday with some spicy takes. That's right. Stuff maybe you don't want to hear, but maybe you need to hear. Because hot take culture gets a bad rap in our world. And we say, no. This industry was built on hot takes. We shall not stop hot takes for anybody. As a matter of fact, we will embrace it and we will put a fun bit of music alongside it. It is time for Hot Take Friday. Here we go. All right, I'm going to say it. I don't think my wife is listening right now. If she is, I'm in trouble when I get home. But Brenden, right here in this moment, in this segment, I need to say it. I'm getting tired of the Kelceys. I'm getting tired of them. I'm getting sick of the Kelceys. I love Taylor Swift. I am a Swiftie. I make no apologies. Tortured Poets Department is a good album. It's not a great album, but it's a good album. A lot of people wanted to trash on it because she doesn't write bangers anymore. She's in an emotional part of her career. I love Taylor Swift, and I love the fact that maybe Travis Kelce has made Taylor Swift happy. And I am not like these Swifties out there who are like, no, you have to be the leader of the heartbroken, so you can't ever be happy. I'm not that. I root for those two kids. But what I am saying is, enough already with the Kelceys, okay? It was fun when they played each other in the Super Bowl. The podcast was kind of fun, and then they started dating Taylor Swift. And they're at Coachella. They're at the Derby. They're on TV all the time. Jason Kelce got into a debate on Twitter whether or not Secretariat was a steroid user in the 70s. Enough of the Kelceys. Brenden, I'm just going to say it. But maybe just, go away. Take a breather.
Some of us would say that about Taylor Swift.
It's not the time nor the place. I'm saying to Travis and Jason, I think they're entertaining. It was fun for a while. But maybe just let us miss you a little bit. You don't have to be at every event. You know what I mean? You have to be.
This is very hypocritical because you're rolling for Taylor, who all the things you just said I could apply to Taylor. Maybe take a little bit of a break.
Did she go to the Kentucky Derby? No.
Well,
where's Taylor been other than being on tour? She's selling out Paris for 3 nights, Brenden. She's working right now. These guys can't get them out of my algorithm.
Sounds like a you problem.
Welcome to Hot Take Friday, Brenden. This is Hot Take. This isn't medium takes. This isn't conventional takes. This is Hot Take Friday. And I came, which is the thought that I had. Nobody wants to say it. I'm going to say it. I'm getting a little tired of the Kelceys. Now, can I tell you my wife? Big fan. Big fan of the entire Kelce family. I don't think she's listening right now. But if she is, I might get some side eye when I come home. But yeah, I'm getting tired of the Kelceys. Just go be missed. Go be missed and then come back. Do you have a hot take on a Friday?
I did.
That does not involve Taylor Swift?
No, now I have to turn it around and say hot take everything Justin just said. I'd like to have a little break from Taylor.
Well, you don't have to. You can.
Not when.
Move on.
Not when my Roku TV is telling me to watch Dead Poets Society.
Tortured Poets Department. It is not the same difference.
It's funny. We talked about it at trivia. I said, it's disrespectful to Robin Williams, man.
to name something with poets in the title?
Yeah.
You can't do that at all?
I mean, it just sounds so similar.
It's not. It has one similar name. The other two are completely different. It's not even close.
Well, that's
You ever seen
that's
Dead
your
Poet-
opinion.
You ever seen Dead Poets Society?
Of course, it's a great movie.
Captain, my captain.
It's a great movie.
Seize the day.
Yeah, you know.
Wellman. I think it's Wellman Academy.
Again, I'm not.
Mr. Pitts.
I like some Taylor songs, Justin. It's just too much. It's too much, and
That's what happens when you're a global superstar.
I mean, it's just too much, and very much like Justin, I would like to see a little. We didn't even know you left because you've been here for 5 years, dropping albums every other week. It seems like.
Been here, more like been here 15 years. Been here for a while.
She's only been like a superstar for like.
Been
5
here
years.
for a while. When was
Wasn't even the biggest female artist 5 years ago, Justin. 4 years ago.
Yeah, you're not correct there. Been on top for 15 years now. Pretty sure.
15 years, you say she's been at the top. 15 years.
Yeah, like 2008, Fearless. Spent 11 weeks at number 1. 2008. I can do that math. That was 11 weeks at number 1. Fearless. 2010. Speak Now and Red. 200. Let's see. Debuted number 1. How many weeks?
To say that like she's
Highest-
bigger than Rihanna in 08 is like
Way bigger.
foolhardy.
Way bigger. I was there. I was there in 08 in the club.
Saying she was bigger than Adele at her peak then, I don't think so.
Yeah. Look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. Anyways, we don't have to get into this dumb argument. I'm just saying, do you have another hot take that does not involve Taylor Swift?
Like I said, you triggered me.
You had spicy nuggets yesterday. Do you have any chicken nugget takes?
Yeah, sorry, Justin, you triggered me there. It's not going to let you throw shade on the Kelseys without throwing shade on Taylor Swift.
I wasn't throwing shade. It's not really the Kelseys. It's really everybody else that's around them. Like, they have been they're kind of funny, but they're not, like, hilarious. But, like, they have been elevated to a certain level, and I'm just like, I'm full. It's like, I love pizza. Brenden, I love pizza. But I'm full. I'll put it in the fridge, maybe work on some leftovers a little bit. That's how I feel. I like the Kelseys, but I'm full. I've had it.
See,
I've
that's
had my
funny.
fill.
It's the exact same opposite for T Swift. So go figure.
T Swift to me is like chips and salsa at a Mexican food restaurant. I will never have enough. There will never, ever be enough.
Hot take, Brenden.
I think I'm full. Would you like another basket, Justin? Yep.
Yeah, Brendan's hot take is he's flabbergasted and just can't continue with this conversation. That's my hot take.
How good is chips and salsa at a Mexican food place? So good. It's so much better than Cheddar Bay biscuits.
Oh, of course.
Better than breadsticks at Olive Garden?
No.
You put breadsticks above chips and salsa?
Well, since we're calling Taylor Swift chips and salsa now.
Well, it's just like I'm saying. I can't ever get enough. Like, I think I've had enough. It's like, here's another basket. All right. You know what else we don't have enough of? This show, because we got a whole third hour coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio. It is 8 a.m. on a Friday morning. Justin Myers with you. The NBA playoffs continued last night. Saw the Cavs take game 2 against the Boston Celtics, 118-94. That series now tied up at a game apiece. Cleveland led by Donovan Mitchell's 29 points plus 46% from beyond the arc. Dallas Mavericks also evened up their series with Oklahoma City, 119-110 victory over the Thunder. Luka Doncic and P.J. Washington both led the way for the Mavs with 29 points each. And there will be a new coach in Phoenix. Yesterday afternoon, Frank Vogel was shown the door, and less than 24 hours reported by Shams Charania of The Athletic that former Milwaukee Bucks head coach Mike Budenholzer will be taking over the head coaching job in Phoenix. Coming up, we take a look back in hour number 3 at some college football best ofs. An interesting idea for the Lakers plus an RCM mailbag. Hour 3 starts right now at 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. 20 minutes from now, going to go back into the Wayback Machine. I saw a trend on Twitter the other day, and I sent it to Brenden. I'm like, we got to do this. Position by position, because Brenden and I have been very, very lucky, and a lot of you have probably been very, very lucky as well, been able to watch with our own eyes in person a lot of very good college football players. Best players we've ever seen by position, and then also biggest just hammering of our team by certain players. So that's going to be coming up in about 20 minutes. We've also
Very excited, Justin.
I got a lot of players. It's going to be tough to even narrow it down.
Real quick, just to clarify before
Yes.
we tease that up, we are allowed to pick players from our own team, correct?
There's going to be 2 lists here. Yes. First is the list of by position best you've ever seen. If that person happens to play for your team, so be it. Then we're going to do a second list, which is tip of the cap. Man, you got us. You know what I mean? Like certain players where you're like, boy, may not be
Good
the
call.
best, may not be the best of all time, but like that day, that was like, boy, they got us. So we'll dive into that as well. All right. Mentioned it in the update. Phoenix Suns are going to hire Mike Budenholzer. Surprised that the Phoenix Suns have fired and hired a coach now, and the Lakers have not. The only other team that I believe is without a coach is the Washington Wizards, but the Charlotte Hornets, they have fired and hired a coach in the time that the Lakers haven't. They just hired Charles Lee. And I don't know if the Lakers are slow playing this. I don't know if there may not be an awful lot of candidates who want to take that job, which I could see. But, most people say, look, it's the Lakers. It's LeBron and Anthony Davis. You get the right coach. They still have a run left in them. I firmly believe that. I don't hope for it, but I firmly believe that the Lakers with LeBron and AD, if healthy, which is a big giant if, because LeBron's getting old, and apparently one of the things that got Darvin Ham fired was Darvin Ham came in and was like, LeBron, you are in your late 30s. You have played more basketball minutes. I believe he's played more basketball minutes than anybody else in NBA history.
Probably at this point.
I don't think it's even particularly close.
Yeah, the only person it could be is Kareem.
Because you think about the amount of years he's played, and every year he's made the playoffs, and most years they go on a fairly deep run and was in the finals, 9 years in the finals? It's insane. Yeah, it might be Kareem, though. But Darvin Ham came in and was like, LeBron, you played a lot of minutes. Maybe, especially early on in the season, maybe let's limit your minutes. Keep your body fresh. And come playoff time, you'll have good legs ready to go. Month into the season, LeBron was like, yeah, we ain't doing that anymore. I'm back to playing 35 minutes a night. Well, they get bounced in the first round with a sweep by the defending champion Denver Nuggets. Do we know who's played the most minutes in NBA
I
history?
had to look it up. LeBron's getting close, but it's still Kareem.
Still Kareem.
Man. 57,000 minutes for Kareem. LeBron's chilling at a cool 56. So about 1,000 more minutes. I think you get 1,000 in a season at least. Yeah, you do. So one more year, LeBron should have it.
Well, you figure, obviously, 82 games. 82. Carry the one. Yeah. But he's also not going to play 82 games. But if you see.
There you go. So Kareem still has one record left to Justin.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not giving this one up without a fight.
But Kareem comes back and plays like 8 minutes in like a pre.
The old man.
Okay, so other than Kareem, LeBron's played the most minutes of anybody.
I'm curious. Could you give me 3, 4, and 5 just for sake of fun argument real quick? Just because I looked really hard for this list.
Okay.
This
It's
list was
got to be
hard
somebody
to
that's played
find.
for a long, long time, and it's got to be somebody probably from the 90s because, again,
I'll give you a hint.
Karl Malone?
Number 3, Karl Malone.
Boom.
Yes. Other 2 players, modern era. So you would recognize these names.
Kevin Durant? Steph Curry?
Nope. No.
Still yelling names.
Yeah. Think of a couple big men.
Big men? Most men? Oh, don't.
Yeah, I was like,
Is Jokic it?
nope.
No.
Dirk.
Okay, gotcha. But
Dirk-
not
Yeah,
playing
Dirk,
right now.
Dirk comes in.
Dirk
number,
makes sense. Got it.
and then
Well, of course
KG
it makes sense. He's
and then-
on the list.
Yeah, then KG5. So interesting enough. So I knew Dirk played a lot of minutes, but yeah, I mean, what LeBron and Kareem have done, like it's just them and then like an ocean. to
Is
the
it
next-
an ocean and then it's Karl Malone?
Yeah, it's like 3,000 minutes. I mean, everyone else is like 1,000. Yeah, so like those 2 are just so good.
So let's just say, which, if you were the Lakers, you were probably looking at Budenholzer, right? He was the best coach. Well, now he's the Suns coach.
Well, I have heard some rumors, Justin, that Steve Ballmer has not been able to get Tyronn Lue to sign the extension yet.
Interesting.
Tyronn Lue's contract was up at the end of this year. He was kind of in a lame duck year. They're like, hey, let's see what you do, kind of a thing. Ty Lue brought LeBron a championship.
I understand
2016.
that.
Could you see Ty Lue shifting from the blue and red to the purple and gold?
Here's where it's interesting.
Crazier things have happened.
Crazier things have happened, but here's the thing that Ty Lue has that 9 other men have, which is the knowledge of what coaching LeBron is like. He has that knowledge, and does he want to go back to that?
He might be like, at least LeBron's healthy.
But I'm just saying,
But you're right.
does
You're
he
right.
want to go back to that? Former Laker and I think he was a head coach too. Byron Scott threw out a name that was interesting. Byron Scott, former Laker, he was a coach. He said on Undisputed, this was earlier this week, Byron Scott threw out a name for Lakers head coach. You want to know what name he said? LeBron James. Said, you know what? Let's just cut out the middleman and let's just make LeBron James the head coach. Now, Brenden, this is not unprecedented. This has happened before. Bill Russell was player coach of the Boston Celtics, I believe back in the 70s. Bill Russell has done it. Now, if there's one thing, here's how I would try to convince LeBron, because I want to see this happen. Brenden, we know that LeBron James has been chasing Michael Jordan's ghost his entire career.
Uh-huh.
He's been chasing that ghost, and I think maybe has realized I'm not getting, even if I do get to 6 rings, nobody's ever going to say it was the same because Jordan never lost in the finals. And I love Michael Jordan. We also never bring up the fact that he lost those years to the Pistons. But it's like, oh, Jordan's 6-0 in the finals. Like, a couple years he didn't make the finals.
That's
Well,
more respectable.
It does seem like it,
It
right?
does.
It's
Like,
almost
just-
like it is one of the dumb things
It
we
is.
hold back or that we use against LeBron. It's like, well, he lost in the finals. Like, yeah, he made the goldarn finals.
Yeah, do we blame Jordan the year that he came back and they lost to the Orlando Magic?
Exactly.
No,
Like,
we just remember him going
what
for
if
6.
he had won that series and they went to the finals, but he didn't have the legs to beat
Right.
the Rockets? And it's like,
See, 6-0 looks a lot better than anything else, man.
that being said, I love Michael Jordan and I ride for Michael Jordan, but LeBron James is chasing that ghost. But he's also obsessed with legacy. Obsessed with legacy. Which is why he wanted to break Kareem's record as a Los Angeles Laker, I believe. Which is why he is continuing to he wants to play with his son, the whole Griffey thing, right? Nobody's ever done that. Nobody's played basketball with their son. Griffey is the only one that did that, and he was a fan of Griffey because he's a 90s kid.
Where does he rank Because you said like legacy, totally true. Where do you think LeBron thinks he is within the Lakers fan base? Because in my opinion, no one will ever top Kobe. Kobe is
Well, it depends on your age. Magic. No one will ever top Magic.
that
It
same number of rings, right? 5 and 5.
And obviously, Kobe has a legacy because he died. And it's what happened. It's what.
Well,
it's this human nature.
and at one
right?
point we thought-
elevate. But when Kobe was alive, nobody had him over Magic Johnson as the greatest Laker of all time. It was always. And then tragedy hit, and that's what happens when tragic things happen. We elevate it, and it's human nature. Either way.
So do you put Kareem in that?
LeBron. Here's what's funny is LeBron, in my opinion, second greatest basketball player of all time. But he fourth best Laker.
Yeah, I mean,
Fourth.
He's better than like Jerry West or like James Worthy, like some of those like all-star.
Magic, Kobe, Kareem. Shaq might even be at him. Shaq's got 3 rings with the Lakers.
We have to say that LeBron's better than Kareem now, don't we?
I don't think we do.
No, I'm just asking.
I don't think we do.
I'm just like since he scored more points,
Scored more points, but Kareem
longevity's about the same. I think Kareem had a really long career. The Lakers, obviously aren't Showtime without Kareem, and that's an interesting thing. But to your point,
Kareem was pre-cable TV superstar in the league, and anybody who knows anything about basketball, I would say LeBron is a career. Basketball, yeah, probably elevated above Kareem. As a Laker, no.
Yeah.
No.
I think I would agree with you. So with that being said, so that's what, 3 people two of them who are permanently entrenched.
But let me throw this out real quick, because this is where I want to get to before we wrap up this segment. LeBron is obsessed with doing things that nobody else has done before, right? Never going to catch the Jordan ghost, but, I can score more points than Kareem. I can play basketball with my son. Nobody else has played NBA basketball. Not since Bill Russell has there been a player coach in the NBA. I'll bet you his ego is big enough to try it. I'll bet you is like nobody. I could be on the same level as Bill Russell because he loves being in those conversations with NBA. Just cut out the middleman and make LeBron the coach. Draft Bronny. Let LeBron be the coach. Let's just let LeBron, the whole James family, run it. I root for chaos, and I hope for it. All right, coming up next, thing we saw on Twitter. Been lucky enough to watch a lot of college football. Who are the best? The best at every position that we have seen with our own 2 eyes, and who are the ultimate Oregon and Oregon State crushers of dreams in college football. That's next on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, something popped up on my Twitter feed the other day, and I was like, that's going to be a fun topic on the big show. And I shot it over to Brenden. And so here's what it is. And also, it's an excuse to talk some college football here in the month of May. That's not transfer portal. That's not conference realignment. That's not NIL. That's not any of that stuff. But by the way, speaking of, did you see Brian Kelly, head coach? I dropped it in the other day. But Brian Kelly, coach at LSU, who in the transfer portal did not really get that much in terms, especially on the defensive line. And he was asked about it, and he was like, yeah, we're not in the business of buying players. Don't know if you want to say that out loud in the SEC. Because I don't think SEC fans much care if you're in the business of it or not. Say, hey, coach, we can buy players now. We've been trying to buy players for the last 50 years. You can do it legally now. You better go out and find somebody. Anywho, this is more of a subject of fun performances of days gone by. Back when college football pretended to be above board. It was still going on under the table, but we at least pretended, right? There's always some money going and exchanging hands, but we at least pretended. So this popped up on Twitter. It said, the best college football player at every position that you have ever watched. It's quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, and defensive back. Now, I've been very, very lucky that I have watched a ton of college football games in person, live there at Autzen Stadium and bowl games and everywhere else. Some of these were super easy. Some of these I had to maybe think back. And I tried to go non-Oregon players, a good chunk on my list. And then Brenden brings a couple things to the table as well because, a little different generation. Doesn't have the frame of reference from maybe the 90s or the late 80s, but also watching games at Reeser. So let's start off with best college football players you've ever watched in each position. Let's start with quarterback. Quarterbacks are always fun. I've been very lucky. I've seen a lot of number one overall draft picks. I have seen Heisman Trophy winners. I have seen guys that have set records. I'm going Cam Newton 2010. Cam Newton 2010. Well, it was 2011 national title game. Best quarterback I've ever. And I watched Andrew Luck play in person. I watched Carson Palmer play in person. Watched Ryan Leaf play in person. Brenden, nobody was better than Cam Newton. Nobody that year was better than Cam Newton. Now, he didn't have a great game against Oregon, but watching that dude play in person, different level. I've also seen Matt Leinart play in person. Did I see Alex Smith in person? I don't know if I got to see Alex Smith in person. Anyways, he was a number one overall pick too. So that if you were to ask me best quarterback I've ever seen in college football that I've seen with these two peepers, I'm going Cam Newton. Where are you at? I also saw Russell Wilson as well.
Yeah,
Russell Wilson was very, very good, but Cam Newton was a different level.
very much like Jonathan Smith. We're going to list a 1A and 1B at quarterback.
Oh, okay.
And we don't know. We're gonna figure it out. So
It's going to be like the or on the depth chart.
Exactly, man. It's like Dan Lanning. You'll see who plays against Georgia. We'll see. Could be Ty Thompson or this guy named Bo who goes 12th. Overall, neither here nor there. I go with two number one picks. I have the privilege of watching Andrew Luck and Caleb Williams play.
Caleb Williams was so good.
They are very different, but seeing them with these peepers, those are the two best quarterbacks I've ever seen play with my live eyes, hands down.
See, now here's the thing with me and Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck did not have a very good game when I watched him play.
He cooked my beeves.
Did he?
We beat him once. No, we beat him once. He beat us twice. But yeah, when he beat us twice, he absolutely cooked us.
Andrew Luck, as a redshirt freshman, cooked Oregon in 2009. Again, I talk about that year all the time, game all the time, because I was like, all you got to do is just stop Toby Gerhart. You stop Gerhart. I was like, who is this guy?
Go figure. We beat them that year. Then you guys went and beat them the next 2 years. So
I crushed them.
Yeah, Toby. We could stop Toby, man.
Here's the problem with Caleb Williams. It's recency bias. And it's not fair, but I always the further and further, I'm sure, good Lord willing, the creek don't rise. We still do this show 10 years from now. We might be back going Remember when Caleb Williams was at both Reeser and at Autzen, and you're going to be like, we had him.
Totally. I'm, like Justin's spirit of the rules here, you have to see them with your own eyes. Otherwise, it would have been Andrew Luck and Joe Burrow for me. Because Joe Burrow Justin knows, he's my guy. Like, I absolutely love Joe Burrow. But Caleb Williams, what he did, I saw it with my own eyes last year. Justin saw it at Autzen Stadium this year.
He's a different level.
He is. He's
athleticism at a different level. Don't know if it's going to translate to the NFL, but
best college player
but
ever?
for me, Cam Newton.
Yeah, if I had seen him, he would have been in there too.
Dude,
for sure.
He was so good.
Superman.
All right, now I joked with you about going 1A, 1B, which I am going to do for running back.
Nice.
Because I truly cannot discern. I cannot differentiate the two. Reggie Bush and Adrian Peterson. I saw those guys both play. Saw Adrian Peterson twice. Never wanted to see him ever again. Saw him in the Holiday Bowl in San Diego, and then saw him at Autzen Stadium where the Oklahoma Sooners got absolutely screwed. Don't care. And then Reggie Bush, the best college football player ever in my mind. And he had a day at Autzen. So for me, I'm going 1A, 1B, because Adrian Peterson was so good as well, and I can't leave him off the list. I'm going Reggie Bush, and I'm going Adrian Peterson. Those are my 1A, 1B, two best running backs I've ever seen.
I'm going to stick with it as well.
By the way, honorable mention Steven Jackson.
Yeah, I love
honorable mention Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson was so good. He was so good at football.
I love Steven. Unfortunately, I got really blurry memories of him. I just remember him slipping on some new Omni turf at Autzen Stadium in 2003 when it was raining. It's like the Beavers cleats didn't stick to the Autzen grass, but the Oregon's cleats did. Funny how that works.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it was the new turf they put in.
I was 7 years.
It wasn't Omni Turf. I believe it was called Next Turf, and then they replaced it.
Yeah, and that was when
that lasted 2 seasons, one of which was 2003.
And Oregon was, just again letter of the rule. But again, as a 7-year-old, you're like, come on now. Oregon was because that was when Justin they came out and said a player's hair is part of him. You want to tackle him down by his hair.
Yeah.
And no one loved to pull Steven Jackson down by his threads more than the Oregon Ducks, man. So funny how that works. Maybe a little payback from the year
Larry
before.
Johnson of the Kansas City Chiefs tackled Troy by his hair.
Oh, that probably. Yeah, I'm sure he didn't love that. But no, I go Reggie 1. He's the best. He created a video game, like by being a video game on the field.
Yeah. So good.
That being said, my 2A or 2B. Let's go Christian McCaffrey, because you go look at Christian McCaffrey, 2015, when he had nearly 4,000 yards of all-purpose offense, and let's see, 13, 14, 16 touchdowns. I think Reggie Bush's best year, let's see, we had 2,025, 2,700 yards. So Christian McCaffrey had almost 1,000 more. I don't think Reggie Bush returned kicks like Christian did.
Yeah.
But Christian was robbed of the Heisman because of Derrick Henry in Alabama. So that will be the hill I die on. Christian deserved a Heisman so bad, Justin.
All right. I agree with you.
Derrick Henry had
I don't think I ever got to see Christian McCaffrey because I was in Seattle.
Did you know he was tackled by Adley Rutschman?
I've heard that a couple times.
I was there that day. Has
that ever been brought up before?
Has it been brought up?
Adley Rutschman, catcher for the Baltimore Orioles, once tackled Christian McCaffrey.
But Justin, in hindsight, it's Derrick Henry had 30 rushing touchdowns that year, and you're like, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Wide receiver. All right. Wide receiver.
Tough.
This one wasn't tough for me, believe it or not, because there's one guy. He's been in the news the last couple of days, believe it or not. Had a podcast with some interesting things to say. Deshaun Jackson is the best receiver I've ever seen. Deshaun Jackson.
We don't even need to transition to me. I have Deshaun, too.
Deshaun Jackson in 2007 put on a clinic against the Oregon Ducks. And again, that's that 2007 team that obviously the Dennis Dixon injury overshadowed everything else. But Oregon beat USC at home. Game day came to Autzen twice that year. But you know what we don't talk about? The fact that Cal and Deshaun Jackson came in and put Oregon down.
Yeah, Deshaun Jackson was beyond elite, and he was a speedster. He was great. I will throw in too, because I've never seen a receiver more effective in my life than Mike Cass. I got to throw him in there, dude. As crazy as you laugh, Justin.
I laugh because every time I hear Mike Hass, I think about the time that I almost got into a fight at a bar with a Beaver fan because of my hot Mike Hass take. And my take was wrong, but I was young and spitting fire back then. That's why I laugh every time you bring up Mike. Because also you told me like you're a family member of yours just saw him the other day.
Yes.
It's like, hey, is that Mike Hass?
Yeah, he's
is that
still
the
local.
Biletnikoff Award winner?
So shout out.
Just
Mike.
at like a teriyaki place or something?
Yeah.
Or is it like the Kinko's or something?
I think it was at Stickman Brewing where my brother works.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think if I remember correctly, that's where it was. But yeah, Mike Hass still owns so many Oregon State records.
Yeah.
I mean, Brandon Cooks had way more talent and couldn't touch his record. So Deshaun is the one. My little honorable mentions, Mike.
But Deshaun Jackson.
Yep.
Also, I would throw in honorable mention Mike Williams, USC.
He was really good
watched
too.
Mike Williams at USC in 2002. Put on an absolute clinic against one of the worst defensive backfields Oregon's ever had. So that's my honorable mention would be Mike Williams, but Deshaun Jackson was so good. All right, tight end. Brenden, I saw this guy one time at Autzen Stadium go for 12 catches, 143 yards.
I think we're talking about the same guy.
And a touchdown. He was also in the news this week, believe it or not.
Even Gronk know that not real money.
Yep, Rob Gronkowski. Okay.
He cooked.
Can I tell you the story of the 2008 Oregon-Arizona game? It was 45-17 at halftime. 45-17. It was a night game. It was an incredibly late game. And I remember we were joking at halftime in the press box, can they go running clock so that I could get the post-game show done? That would Willie Tuatama. That's it was Tuatamania is what they called him. Willie Tuatama.
Gosh, that dude could cook.
He threw for 328 that day because in the second half, Willie Tuatama decided I'm throwing to no one else but Gronk. He is the only one that is getting the football. Nobody else on this team is going to touch this football. Gronk is going to, and he cooked the Ducks in the second half. And Oregon gave up, got outscored 28-10 in the second half and limped in for a 55-45 victory.
Dang, Mike Stoops had some dudes.
It was 45-17 at half. It was over.
Yeah, Mike Stoops.
And Willie Tuatama was like, I am throwing to Gronk.
Yeah.
And nobody else. And Gronk he was unstoppable.
They had a run, man, because they went from Tuatama to Nick Foles. They had some quarterbacks who could sling it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I remember that game well. Tuatama came out of nowhere, and yeah, I remember it very well. But yeah, I'm with Gronk too. No other honorable mentions. I have someone that later for the later round, but that's it. Gronk.
Offensive line is tough.
It is.
It's tough.
I got recency bias. Do you want me to start, Justin, or you want to go for it?
Well, I have recency bias as well because I was going to go Penei Sewell.
That's a proper.
I was going to go Penei Sewell.
It's proper. I was going to go with Talise Fuaga, who just got picked 13th. He's the best Oregon State lineman I've ever seen. So,
it is true. Like as often, like your own offensive lineman. You don't like. It's hard to know the other the other team's
it can be. Yep.
defensive lineman. Now, defensive line. A lot of options here. But I'm going to go back to a game I talked about earlier, and where the narrative was put in place of Oregon's blur offense was great. It was unstoppable until Nick Fairley single-handedly. Nick Fairley in the national title game. Cam Newton did not play well that day, but Nick Fairley. I remember seeing Nick Fairley at Media Day, along with Cam Newton, thinking this guy is a monster. He is an absolute monster. And I don't know how they're going to stop him. And Oregon didn't stop him. Honorable mention, I watched Simeon Rice play for Illinois at Autzen Stadium back in 1995. And I think wasn't Greg Hardy. It was Hardy Nickerson. Illinois played at Oregon in 1995 with Hardy Nickerson and Simeon Rice. And Brenden, those guys went, I believe, 3 and 4 back-to-back in the draft that next year. So my defensive lineman that I've ever watched, best defensive lineman I've ever seen play, Not an Oregon, because Haloti Ngata would be the guy for the Oregon Ducks that I would put up there. But as far as defensive linemen, I'm going Nick Fairley. Honorable mention, Simeon Rice. Simeon Rice was so good.
Yeah. Okay, those are 2 good picks. I got 2 more Pac-12ers.
There was that nerdy guy for Stanford too. God, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Oregon's finest. Haloti Ngata was.
Haloti Ngata.
Yeah, sorry, was really, really good.
It's one of those where Willamette, everybody in Oregon loved to correct people because they said Nagata. It was it's Nada.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't pride myself on knowing too many duck pronunciations.
I understand.
And then
who's the pronunciation for the Beavs that you guys love correcting people? There had to be a couple.
Uyunglele was messed up all year long.
Yeah.
It was, all along the place. I just said Tullis Fuaga. Mel Kiper butchered. The draft. First rounder.
Polynesian names are my favorite. They're my favorite.
Just any poly name, I'll say. But no, speaking of poly name, Utah, Starley Tulele. Yep, that dude was dominant.
You know what's funny? I was at that game too. It was a Thursday night game.
It was
a Thursday night game.
Was
it a Thursday night game?
Yes.
Yeah, I was there.
Was. He was so good. I think he went top 5 picks and played for the Carolina Panthers for
forever.
Yeah. So he's it.
All right, linebacker. I have a controversial linebacker.
Let's hear it.
Controversial linebacker. But football-wise, I just can't not pick him. Vontaze Burfict was so good.
Forgot about him.
Vontaze Burfict was so good. And Arizona State that year was, I think, average. I think they might have made a bowl game. I'm not quite sure. Oregon took care of them, but I remember the pregame show, Steve Tannen and I were like, yeah, this guy leads the league in tackles and personal fouls. This is insane. And I remember watching it and I'm like, that guy, he went undrafted because obviously he was crazy. He was a crazy guy on the field, but he was so talented. He got picked up as an undrafted free agent, made the Pro Bowl 3 years.
Dude, he almost killed Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown was never the same after that. Never the same.
No,
but I'm just saying.
The noggin wasn't quite as
linebacker
secured.
In college that I watched that was everywhere. Vontaze Burfict was so good.
It's a great one.
He was so good.
Justin, I hate to say it, but I'm going to go ahead and give another little asterisk here with this one, and that's I'm going with USC's entire 2008 linebacking core when they were number 1.
Ray Maluga,
Brian Cushing, and
Matthews?
Clay Matthews.
Clay Matthews? Boom.
And all 3 of those dudes played in the NFL for many years, and other than not being able to tackle Jaquiz Rogers, they were perfect that year. So, yeah, that team was so stacked. Those are the best linebackers I've ever seen.
All right, last one, which is perfect because we're just about right out of time. Defensive back. I'm going to cheat.
Me too.
Polamalu.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm going to cheat because I'm going to go Polamalu. Watch him play a lot of times.
Yep.
Other one. Now, I wasn't at this game, so it's kind of cheating. I wasn't at this game. I should have been at this game, but place I worked for cheaped out on me. Oregon opened up the 2011 season against LSU in Dallas, Texas.
Honey Badger
was so good.
He
Taron
was
Matthew
dominant.
Was
oh my
so
goodness.
good.
Yeah, I got to go with my
God,
bias.
he was so good.
I got to go with my bias here. Astoria's own Jordan Poyer, man. Watching that dude play for 4 years was a treat, and it's only been better that he's carved out a great role. Been one of the top safeties in the NFL the last few years. So, yeah, Poyer is one of the best I've seen.
You mentioned that linebacker core for USC, and then you could even go, there was after Troy, but there was a run of defensive. Remember Taylor Mays?
Oh, yeah.
Remember how big Taylor Mays was?
I'll admit, that was a biased defensive back pick, but yeah.
We both picked a biased defensive back pick. We're not letting both Astoria and Winston get off the board
man.
when we
Can't
just have it right there. So there we go. Hey, fantastic list, everybody. All right, we have got the RCM mailbag to wrap up the show next. 620 Rip City Radio. All right, let's wrap up the big show. Get ready to enjoy a beautiful, beautiful weekend here in the Pacific Northwest. 80 degrees and sunny. I got a little bit of work to do, and then I got some backyard TV to watch. Brenden and I got some backyard rosé to be drinking a little bit later on, so I'm pretty pumped.
No, I got big weekend
You
plans.
got a pontoon boat, right?
Yeah, we're heading up to Longview tonight and going on the boat tomorrow. So that's going to be a good little weekend, getting the fam together for Mother's Day. So happy about that for sure. I won't be getting in the water, though, just too cold. Still too cold. So if anyone's listening, don't go jump in a river. It is still too cold to do that. We don't need any drownings this weekend.
You know that song, Pontoon? Little Big Town.
Yeah.
Pontoon.
Yeah. I was like,
when you're on the pontoon, you should be playing that song.
Well, hey,
all the time.
I mean, the speaker system on it is legit.
On the pontoon. Anyways, it's time to hit the mailbag when Justin starts singing. So let's go.
All right, folks, we are changing the mailbag on the fly.
Love it.
Justin and I had so much fun with our list. We had two lists actually drawn up.
We were drone up, yep. Drone them up.
Drawn up.
Put the drone into the sky, have it floating over the top
But
of
this
us.
was the
Drone it
one.
up.
This was the one I was most excited for because Justin said, make a list of players who you're like, just grit your teeth. They just crushed your team.
Yeah.
And
maybe not even the best players, maybe not even good players.
Yeah,
but just one day they were like,
kicked your team's rear end.
yeah, I got a handful here.
So I'm gonna let's just we don't need to go through all of them. Let's
right.
get some of the big ones. I want to go quarterback to start.
Okay, who's your quarterback?
Big play VA Vernon Adams Jr. To this moment, 2013. As of now, so it's been 11
that's right,
years.
2013.
He still holds the Reser Stadium all-purpose record. He broke Ryan Leaf's record that day, I believe.
Yeah.
So no one had more yards of offense than Vernon Adams at Reser Stadium ever. So, and I remember almost shedding a tear that day. I'm like, we lost to Eastern Washington, and we did. So, yeah, that hurt, Justin. That's it for me. Big play VA, man.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'll give you that one. That was a tough one. All right, quarterback. This is you may recognize this name. You probably won't. But I will never forget this quarterback as long as I live. Andrew Walter.
Arizona State.
Andrew Walter played at Arizona State, had a fine career. But on October 19th, 2002, Andrew Walter played a game against the Oregon Ducks. Brenden, Andrew Walter went 31 of 53 that day. Andrew Walter threw for 536 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Wow.
At the time, that was a Pac-10 record. You know how long that record lasted?
One week?
It lasted 1 week when Carson Palmer came to Autzen Stadium.
Oops.
And Carson Palmer broke that record. Andrew Walter put up 536 yards. Now, at least Carson Palmer won the Heisman Trophy and was the number 1 overall draft pick and would go on to have a successful NFL career.
Andrew Walter didn't do much in the NFL.
Third-round draft pick by the Raiders.
Yeah.
Don't think he did much.
Oh, fair enough.
539 yards.
Oh, Andrew Walter's in politics now. How about that?
Hey, way to go. He probably goes like, yeah, I'm going to turn this around just like I turned around Oregon football.
That's great.
2002. All right. You got a receiver on the list or a running back?
Yeah. Oh, well, Justin's going to love this one. And it's recency bias. Like I said, this is Brendan's list. This is no way anywhere close to the best running back.
Yeah. Just killers, though, of your team.
Jeremiah Johnson.
Boom. That
Justin
one
knew where it was coming.
knew exactly where it was coming, yeah.
I knew, like I said, I can still close my eyes and picture Jeremiah Johnson running down the sideline in front of the Oregon State bench and having 1, 2, 3, 4 guys even be able to hit him out of bounds. Like, you hit him and he, didn't move. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, let's hit him. Oh, nope, he's still on the sideline over there. And it hurts even more that that was the closest my team has ever been to a Rose Bowl. And by beating us, you guys didn't get to go. 08 is it's my swan song. 08 is the greatest what-if season ever. So, congrats to you and your Oregon Ducks. We have Jeremiah Johnson. I don't think he was even all that great, but he was ready to go against the Beavers that day.
Oh, man.
I think he had almost 200 yards.
Okay. I had it and then I lost it. All right, we start with 2001, all-time great season for Oregon football, 2001. But they had one hiccup in that regular season. It was against Stanford. And Stanford had a wide receiver named Teo Johnson. And Teo Johnson was 8 feet tall. Okay, he wasn't 8 feet tall, but he was about 6'4", and Oregon's defensive back, and Rashad Bowman, whom I love, was about 5'10". And Teo Johnson only had 5 catches. He only had 5 catches that day. But those 5 catches seemed to be perfect first downs every single time. He went for 5 catches, 95 yards, 19 yards, and the decisive touchdown. Teo Johnson crushed Oregon that day.
Fair. Yeah, Justin, I had to pull it up and look, too. You want to guess how many rushing yards Oregon had against Oregon State in 2008? Just a number, if you had to guess.
287.
400. Jeremiah Johnson had 225 yards. And just a ho-hum, extra 100 from LeGarrette Blount, too. So,
all right, real quick, because I want to get this receiver in there.
Yes.
This was a guy, we made jokes all the time because he always caught first downs. Back in 2002, Washington kicked the dog out of Oregon at Autzen Stadium. It was the famous Northwest champs. They took a picture on the O and started the hate for Rick Neuheisel. Reggie Williams. Reggie Williams had 14 catches that day for 198 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Wow. Okay, that's really good.
It felt like every catch was just like Don Essig just kept saying, first down, Reggie Williams, over and over and over again. Absolute Oregon killer.
Yeah.
Reggie Williams, 198 yards.
It's a good pull. I got 2 receivers I want to throw in there real quick. Again, Justin will agree with this because this player cooked his team the next year. Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp, it's that same game that he helped Vernon Adams set all those receivers or all those yards. Like he had, buck 50 against Oregon State. Second one I'm going to throw out there, Justin, you'll appreciate this. Nobody came up with more big catches for you guys in 08 and 09 than the mailman, Jeff Mail.
Yeah, Jeff Mail.
Beaver fans could not stand that
Jeff
guy.
Mail caught a stray on a podcast out of nowhere yesterday that I listened to. By the way, you know how many take a guess. Cooper Kupp receiving yards, Autzen Stadium 2015.
It was like 235 or something?
246.
Yeah.
246.
And hey, if he was transfer portal exists, that dude would have been gone.
Running back out of nowhere just because he killed Oregon 1998, which is one of my favorite Oregon teams. The Trung candidate for Arizona.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if anybody remembers Trung candidate, but that
great pull.
He absolutely crushed Oregon one day. All right, that's going to do it for the big show. Thanks to super producer Brenden. Thanks to all of you for hanging out with us. Have a fantastic weekend. We are back at it bright and early on Monday morning. Oh, we got a draft lottery on Sunday, so look for some social media stuff. Sean Hyken joins us on Monday. We'll talk to you then on 620 Rip City Radio.